was in bed, and I got out and I went to the neurologist. They had said I have some sort of neurological disease.
Yeah.
And he said, how much longer are you going to do this? He said, what do you have to break? What if, you're trying to drive? What are you going to have to run into? What are you going to have to kill yourself to quit?
Hmm.
So I, I took disability. People would say, how can you go to Africa if you're disabled? Well, I could
Hmm.
they could roll me up to the door of an airplane
Yeah.
and I could get down the aisle and get a seat. And I could do that 27 hours of flying because you
Yeah.
sit there.
Yeah.
And when I got off, they'd meet me with a wheelchair. They would take me to our van. I'd ride around in the van to see the kids, to pay the fees. I could make it maybe a day, maybe two, and then
Hmm.
I'd have to sleep for a day.
Hmm.
I was so slow at it, by then I was on crutches. I
Yeah.
couldn't get out of the wheelchair, get on the crutches. Um, it would take me 6 weeks to get around to those schools, get around to those kids. Nobody would come with me. Lisa had to work. So 3 times a year, I was over there for 4 to 6 weeks.
Hmm.
And that was tough. That was a
Very.
huge personal challenge. Um, I got typhoid one time. I got bitten by a spider on the back of my head and
Yeah.
had to go in the clinic over there, have all these treatments. You know, the greatest challenge of all, though, was when we would see those kids and I knew I didn't have a sponsor for them.
Hmm.
It would kill me. And Grace, Peace Grace, the woman, the amazing woman who took over the project after we had all that money trouble and
Hmm.
stayed with us all these years, and she kept she kept books down to the shilling. She tied her books to the shilling every single term. She wanted me to be sure I knew that there was no money missing, and
Hmm.
it's such a pleasure to work with her. But
Hmm.
we would go out into the bush, and I would get over under a tree, and these kids would start coming around, and Grace would come over and run the children away. And she'd go, you can't sponsor them. Leave them alone. and and that was horrible for me.
So yeah.
But it was true. Um, so those were challenges.
So
Uh,
many. And I know that especially once you're a good heart and you're looking at doing things out of your compassion and empathy, no matter the challenges you go through, I know sometimes, yes, disappointments come in, but at least you did it out of your goodwill. And what I pick from these challenges that a real pastor who still calls themselves pastors, because I know you've seen many people claim they're pastors, but if you find there's somebody who claims he's a pastor and walks in and takes money for the people who are poor, I don't think how they will answer their, you know, how they will answer their cases in front of God when they happen to go wherever they will go. And
exactly.
yeah, and many people have taken away from the poor. They have taken away from the less privileged, and many also have claimed that they're taking care of the less privileged while they are instead actually taking care of their own families.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's look at it on the flip side. What are the wins? What are the achievements or breakthroughs that you feel that yes, no matter the challenges, I was
Yeah.
able to win here?
Well, um, let me tell you about a lady. Let me tell you about two ladies real quick. They had this happened very early on in the project and really changed the way things worked with us. And I can't remember exactly how the timing worked here. It was almost exactly the same time. But there's a young lady named Jacinta, and Jacinta had heard about her when we were over there one time. That she was a very intelligent young lady there in Uganda, very intelligent, and couldn't afford university. You know, we were dealing we were dealing with 5-year-olds, we were dealing with primary. What? University? We never thought about university. What in the world? Could we help her at university? I was with a gentleman that I didn't know real well, but he'd agreed to go over with me. This was probably about my third trip over there. Um, he said, well, okay. He went and found her. They're in the pen, they found her. He said, let's go. She said, what? And he said, let's go. She said, go where? And he said, we're going to campus. So all of a sudden, here they're on bodas. They take off on bodas. And I don't. They're going to campus. I don't know where campus is. So I said, "Where? I'll find you. I'll find you." So off they go. He took Jacinta to enroll. He paid her enrollment. He sat with her, and they filled out all of her applications. He did all the forms. He took her around and he showed her the buildings. He had a map and he said, this is the building where you'll do this, and here's where you'll go for this kind of class. And he just took her around. He just showed her around. And it was, I just I couldn't believe it. But that's what he did. Well, then he paid. He paid for her fees. Every single term, he paid for her fees. Well, I I was over there for her graduation. She asked for a graduation party.
Yeah.
So this guy funded it for her, and it was a nice one.
Mhm.
And to see this woman who had no hope of going to university, and to watch her and to watch all these people, her family and her community, and the joy that was there with them in this woman completing university. And then that's not the end of the story.
Mhm.
She went on and she had these amazing jobs. She was a marketer. She worked for Procter and Gamble
Mhm.
for a time, Procter and Gamble East Africa. she actually had a product management job.